Detectives and dogs searching for buried secrets.
The abuse never really quit.
Fears that children's bodies are buried here.
If nobody's buried out there, I'd be very much surprised.
Their search could uncover answers to 50-year-old allegations of abuse.
The beatings, the floggings, to fists and elbows, and then they went to hog tying boys.
Buried secrets. Tonight, Okeechobee County Sheriff's detectives say they had no positive hits for human remains on day one of the search at the old Florida School for Boys. It was a day many have been waiting for 50 years after allegations of torture at that reform school first started in the mid-60s.
We have live Team 5 coverage. News Channel 5's Brian Anson has been covering the search all day. He has more from a mother who tried to save her son from abuse, as well as the history behind the school. But we begin with Michael Williams, who has the very latest from investigators. Michael?
John and Kelly, thank you very much. Live outside what was the old Okeechobee School for Boys, now under different management, still a developmental school of sorts here in Okeechobee County. Again, as you said at the outset, the headline, nothing found today. Time marches on, but the pain endures over a half a century, and the questions go on. Chopper 5 taking exclusive aerials this morning as cadaver dogs fanned out, dogs that were brought in from places like PBSO, Miramar Police Department in Broward County, the Miami-Dade Police Department as well, bringing in these specialized dogs to search for answers. Are they buried on the grounds here? And the question, all that much more important because of the tie-in to this school and its old sister school years ago, the Dozier School for Boys, the infamous reform school in the Florida Panhandle, where we will go later, where more than 50 bodies or remains of more than 50 bodies have been found over the years by research. And so it begs the question, does this sister school also have such secrets buried? Back out live now. Again, 6 cadaver dog teams out today, searching 4 areas overall, roughly about 25 acres of property behind me. And as we zoom in live, let me give you a map. You saw the aerial view. Basically, as you look at this map, I'm essentially standing where my thumb is right there. And you see the outlined areas. That's where they'll be searching or are searching. An old sewage plant, now gone. A tree line behind a maintenance barn, if you can see it a little better there. Sewage plant, old tree line, behind an old cattle barn, and behind an old dairy barn. That is where the search will center. I talked to the Okeechobee County Sheriff. He is skeptical that anything will be found. Sheriff, part of this is gut instinct, part of it's your experience, part of it's history, part of it's what people say. Given all that, do you believe there is a high likelihood that bodies are buried somewhere on this property?
No, sir. I've been in Okeechobee for 35 years, and I've always heard the rumors that the kids were disciplined up here, but I do not personally believe there's anything up here. I've never heard that.
So, a sheriff's skepticism, but he says he is compelled to search today and for 2 more days because of the kind of stories, Brian Netton, that you have focused on the last many days, and you were out here today as this search began. Painful survivor stories from people who say they're convinced that there are horrible stories yet to be unearthed here.
Yeah, Michael, these survivors even had a hard time being here at the campus for the first time. You look right there, those windows, that old library, that's where they say many of these beatings happened. They say they saw lifeless bodies, and they are not happy with today's results. Janet Studdard walks the old grounds of the Florida School for Boys, where she says her son was abused in the early 80s.
Stressful to even pull in this place.
Janet says she basically kidnapped her son from the reform school after he told her stories of torture.
He had 2 broken arms that there was a debate about who broke them. He broke them, they broke them, you know, black eyes when you'd come. It was pretty bad.
Okeechobee County Sheriff's investigators say they are looking into allegations mostly from the 1960s. Cadaver dogs searching for bodies, but they aren't sure exactly who they're looking for.
These blanks are all mysteries. How were they recaptured? The date released, how released, all blank.
Historian Robert Straley shows us the records. He says just like in Mariana, where nearly 50 bodies were found, school files were either destroyed or missing.
If nobody's buried out there, I'd be very much surprised. There should be even a small cemetery somewhere. And will the dogs work? Hopefully.
So you heard him say right there, they still have hope, but they are also hoping that if the cadaver dogs find nothing, that a special radar system will be brought in, Michael. That radar was used in Mariana. It's very specialized. It can actually see beneath the ground, and that's how they found all those bodies in Mariana.
And indeed, the Okeechobee County Sheriff and the University of South Florida researchers have led that effort that we talk about in the Panhandle. We'll be going there for coverage later. But the sheriff did say, as you said, cadaver dogs don't work. He's open to other possibilities. So you have skepticism on his part that he says is born of his experience, matched against people who simply can't believe that nothing will be found here. We'll have to see how it plays out, but it's a tough strain for these survivors.
It really is, yeah, especially for them.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. Brian will be out here to the conclusion of this search over the next many days. We will be back, and we will take you again, as I said, deeper into the search here, and also to what survivors are saying, their painful stories they share with us from the Florida Panhandle as well. 2 schools tied together by allegations stretching back, in some cases, a century or more, and waiting for answers to be found. Reporting live from Okeechobee County, outside the old Okeechobee School for Boys, I'm Michael Williams, WPTV News Channel 5.